Just like this?
We are live, yes. Hello and welcome everyone to our monthly webinar series, Feed Your Mind. This is part of the Greater Phoenix Age-Friendly Network, an effort that is generously supported by a number of partners, including the Virginia G. Piper Charitable Trust, the Pfizer Foundation, and Grantmakers in Aging. The goal of the network is to connect people of all generations with each other to build stronger communities. Thank you so very much for everyone signing on today. All of our sessions all are archived on the connect60plus.com website. So please feel free to visit us at www.connect60plus.com. You can also see our listing of future topics coming up. Our next webinar after today will be September 5th on physical activity. We will be taking a break over the summer months of July and August. For today's presentation, if you can please send your questions to us through the chat function in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. If you are experiencing any technical difficulty, please do call us at 602-254-6300. Let them know that you're having difficulty with the webinar, or just go ahead and ask for Rachel. I would like now to introduce Dr. Hamilton. She will be talking to us about managing stress and living a longer, happier life, something that we're all invested in terms of living a happier life, and something that we're all coping with in terms of stress. So please help me welcome Dr. Hamilton. Thank you.
Hi. So I am Dr. Turshá Hamilton. I am a naturopathic physician here in the greater Phoenix area. And for those of you who do not know what a naturopathic physician is or don't quite know what it is that we do, I'll explain that. So what we do in the state of Arizona, we are considered primary care physicians. So anything that you can go to your normal primary care physician for, you can go to your naturopath for. So that would include anything from colds and flus to diabetes medications and treatment, or cancer therapy or adjunct therapy. So a wide range of therapies that you can see your naturopathic physician for. What makes us different from your regular primary care physician is that during our 4-year medical school, and we do have naturopathic medical programs, one of which is actually here in town in Tempe, we actually learn how to use medication. So we learn pharmacology because we do need to know, even if we don't prescribe it, we actually need to know how to use it for the patients that are on it, what the indications are, etc., etc. We do learn minor surgery, which is very fun. We do learn minor surgery, and we do learn how to diagnose and treat illnesses, just like your regular primary care physician. The difference in those same 4 years is that we also learn therapies like acupuncture and Chinese medicine, herbal medicine. We actually have over a year of nutrition. We learn physical medicine, which is very similar to what chiropractors do. We learn mind-body medicine and hydrotherapy and a couple other therapies. What that does is that gives us an opportunity to treat our patients more holistically. So when a patient comes in for whatever, if I have to prescribe them a medication, I will do that, but they will never stop at a medication. They will learn lifestyle therapies. They'll learn how to eat better. They'll learn how to use herbs for health and any other thing that we need to do. In that regard, one of the things that, of course, we teach a lot in our practices, I do a lot of seminars, is on how to manage stress, because as she mentioned, a lot of us are dealing with stress. We're dealing with stress all the time. We're dealing with stress at work. We're dealing with stress at home. We're dealing with stress in traffic. So stress is something that is always there. And unfortunately, stress is not going to go away. What will help is for us to learn how to deal with it better. Because once we learn how to recognize it and how to deal with it better, no matter what's going on around us, we can actually fare better personally because we know how to handle it better. So to begin the presentation, this presentation was primarily about learning how to breathe to manage stress. I will bring some other things into the discussion as well, but the first few things that we'll get into when we're talking about the management part is how to breathe better. So first, that worked. So first, the first thing is figuring out if you're actually stressed out. If at any point you feel like you want to pull your hair out, if at any point you feel like you just want to go in a corner and throw a tantrum or lay down and cry, or you just don't want to do it, you say, I'm taking a time out from my life for the day, whatever that is, then you're probably a bit stressed out. And so this is, that's the first thing you want to know, is that you want to recognize what stress is. Stress, the American Medical Association actually says that more than 60% of all human illnesses and diseases are caused by stress. 60%. And that's not just in this country, that's worldwide, that's human wide. And so, we're not unique in that we're dealing with stress. What's unique is how we deal with stress, how much stress we have, and how that's expressed within us, or the proportions of diseases that we may have. So keep in mind that actually recognizing stressors, recognizing the things that trigger stress in you, which may not necessarily be the same as the person that is next to you, and learning how to handle it can actually help you live longer by decreasing the amount of illness and disease that you may experience. The definition of stress. So stress is basically a force. It's an influence. It's pressure, whether that is physical, mental, psychological, emotional, spiritual. Stress basically means pressure. And pressure is necessary. If we did not have pressure, for one, we would fly off Earth, because you need the pressure of gravity in order to keep you grounded on Earth. You need a certain amount of pressure to allow you to get things done. So pressure in and of itself is not a bad thing. What is bad is when you have an overabundance of that pressure and you allow it to be chronic and it never lets up. One thing that's important to realize and to understand is that your body actually does have a chemical response to emotions and to stress. So when you're talking about stress, know that whether you have mental stressors, physical stressors, spiritual stressors, your body does not know the difference. Your body reacts the exact same way to all those different types of stressors. So if you have bills to pay, or you're in afternoon traffic, or you're running away from your neighbor's dog, any way it goes, your body's going to react the same. So your goal is to manage the stress regardless of where it's coming from, so that your body does not have an out of control chemical response. The reasons why it's important to understand stress is because if you understand it, you can recognize it. Okay? If you can recognize it, then you can do whatever it takes to reverse it. And if you can reverse it, if you can figure out how to manage it, then you can actually have that happier life and live longer and have healthier outcome without as much illness and disease. So let's talk about stress in before modern times. So stress is supposed to be a temporary response. So people, when they lived in mountains or caves or in the Serengeti or the plains, wherever people lived, they were one with nature. Everyone had their job. They would do their job. You had the hunter-gatherers, you had the fishermen, you had whomever. Everyone had their job. Children would go and play. And then all of a sudden, a lion, a tiger, bear would show up. And so, of course, that would be a pretty sizable amount of stress, right? And so you have to figure out how to get away from that, because if you're there and you don't figure out how to get away from it, you're either going to be lunch or you are going to run away. So that's your fight or flight mechanism. So you either run or you fight it. And personally, I'm not trying to fight a bear, a tiger, or a lion, so I'm trying to run. So, you run away from it. And if you are successful, then you get away, and then everything goes back to normal. You become relaxed. You say, whew, that's done. Girl, did you see the bear? And then you talk about it, you have a little chuckle, and then you're done. You go back to life. You hopefully lay in a little hammock like that and you relax. In modern times, no one has ever really relaxed, first of all. That's point one. Most people don't know how to relax, right? And then you have to get ready for work. And you're multitasking because you woke up an hour late and you have to iron your clothes, you have to make a phone call, you have to get your smoothie together, you have to have your breakfast, you have to call somebody before work, all of these things. So that's a stressful situation, just getting to work. And then you have traffic. And of course, everybody's upset with everybody in traffic, right? So you're yelling, they're yelling, everybody's just reacting. You get to work and you just don't have the energy to do it, right? And then the boss is still there. He wants everything done yesterday afternoon, and you're exhausted because you're not really relaxing, and you're drinking coffee, which is an internal stressor in your body, and then afternoon traffic. And then you have to go home and you have to feed the kids or whomever. Then once they're fed and they're finally out of your hair, then you have to figure out how to pay the bills. You have to figure out how to do the homework. You have to figure out how to handle the work that you didn't get done at work because you fell asleep. And then you try to get some sleep, and that doesn't happen because your mind is racing. And then it's time to wake up. And you never really relax, so now you start that vicious cycle all over again. And so this becomes chronic stress. And as you can see, all of these are mental stressors. But if one thing carries over from time to time, you never really have an opportunity to recuperate, and that causes chronic stress. When a person has chronic stress, you basically are putting pressure and stress on your organs internally. Remember, you have those chemical changes in the body, and the chemicals are not just acting and reacting locally, they're actually circulating throughout your entire body. And so when you have that chronic stress, you have things like hair loss, you have things like headache, gray hairs, indigestion, depression and anxiety, ulcers. It can cause and contribute to cancer. You can have insomnia. All of these things can actually increase your stress level because now you're trying to figure out how to cure it, how to fix it, what am I going to do with my family? And that leads to more stress along with everything else. So it becomes even more of a vicious cycle. So now that we know what stress is and we know some of the things that can be caused by stress, let's talk about how we can at least break the cycle. Remember that these are techniques that you can do at any time. You don't necessarily have to start off with doing several hours worth of work. You can start off doing a few minutes at a time and get accustomed to it, get good at it, and build on that. Now, of course, if you have stress for a longer amount of time, if you're in a greater amount of stress, if you're ill, you can take more time to do these things so that you are actually healing at a greater rate. But don't allow trying to breathe better to stress you out because then it's it's going against what you're trying to do. So the very first thing that we're going to do is to know that you have to change your mindset. Anytime any patient comes to me or anytime someone goes to my seminars, the first thing that I always tell people is that you have to change your mind. If you continue to think the same way that you've always thought, you're going to always get the same results. So if you can start to look at things in a different way and rephrase things or reframe things in your mind, then those things start to change. That's the idea, is change your seat, change your life, which is a phrase that I use in my book. Change your seat, change your life. If you change your perspective, doesn't matter what's going on around you, everything changes for you because you've changed your perspective. So if you can start to do that with your stressors, then it becomes easier. For example, if you are in afternoon traffic, why get upset at the guy who's going to cut you off? He's going to cut you off anyway. You just say, oh, he wanted to get over worse than I did. So there you go. Or, you can look at morning or afternoon time traffic as time to catch up on the radio program that you wanted to listen to, or get a book, audio book, and play that and think of that as your book time, or think of that as your alone time. Again, whatever you need to do in order to change the way you think about stress so that you can start to make a shift that way. That's number one. This next thing you want to do is to start belly breathing. This is also something that you can do at your desk. This is something that you can do in traffic. This is something that you can do when you first wake up in the morning or when you are about to go to bed at night. This is simply deep breathing. So the very first, and of course, I just took a deep breath because I'm talking about breathing. So if any of you actually did take that deep breath when I started talking about breathing, then you probably need to start breathing deeper more often. So the first thing that you want to do is take your two hands and you want to put one on your chest and one on your belly and just breathe. And while you're breathing, you want to pay attention to which hand moves up more. So if your hand on your chest is moving out further than the hand on your belly, then you know that you are chest breathing. The best way to breathe is through your belly. And so if you can focus on taking the air in through your mouth or your nose and actually having it go in down to your belly so that your hand that's on the bottom advances further than your top hand, then you know that you're belly breathing. Belly breathing is actually the way that we start breathing when we're born. That's actually the best way to breathe. As we get older, as we have more on our minds, as we have more things to do, we start to breathe a lot more shallowly. So start to retrain your body so that you can actually take belly breaths. Then you're filling your entire lung space with fresh oxygen. You're getting rid of all the old carbon dioxide and all of the other things that your body excretes through your lungs, and you're starting off fresh. And that actually gives all your organs and muscles opportunity to be bathed in fresh oxygen. If any of you have ever taken biochemistry, then you know that one of the ways that the most oxygen is made in the body is through what's called oxidative phosphorylation. And those are big terms that basically means that oxygen, O2, is taken and it's used in a chemical reaction, and it creates just a whole bunch of ATP. ATP is the chemical that your body uses as quick energy. That is the most utilized energy form in your body. So the thought is that the better you breathe, the more deeply you breathe, the more energy you can make. The more energy you can make, the more energy you have to go on your day. Also, the more energy that you have for your cells to do the job that they're supposed to do. So whether it's a pancreas cell or a liver cell or a lung cell, whatever that cell is, it'll then have more energy to be able to do what it's supposed to do throughout the day. So make sure that you are belly breathing and slow your breathing down. While you have your hand on your chest and your abdomen, you may want to consider inhaling for a count of 4, a slow count of 4. Inhaling for a count of 4, holding it for 1 count, and then exhaling for a count of 4. That way you know that you're not panting, first of all, and that you're actually taking relaxing breaths. And so you're getting the full oxygen and you're slowing everything down. And if you can mentally start to focus on your breathing, focus on the air going in through your nose or through your mouth, through your body, into your lungs, and expanding your expanding your belly, holding it for 1, and then exhaling so all of that air can escape. Then another thing that you're actually doing with your breathing is you're breaking the cycle of stress because you're not constantly thinking about what's on your mind. So it has multifold. Okay. If any of you have any questions, please feel free to go ahead and ask while I'm talking. And gray hair, I know. Wayne, I'm in trouble as well because every time I went to school, I got a new patch. So it's undergrad, grad school, medical school, and back here is post-medical school. So I definitely understand that. And so I'm actually learning these things as I'm teaching them. It's a process. So just keep in mind that everything that you do can actually help that process along. All right. The next thing is called alternate nostril breathing. Alternate nostril breathing is a yoga breathing technique. In yogi terms, it is nadi, and I might pronounce this incorrectly, nadi shodhan pranayama. Nadi shodhan I messed it up. Pranayama. Nadi means subtle energy channel. Shodhan is cleaning or purification. And pranayama is a breathing technique. So there are several different types of pranayama. This one is just the subtle one that actually helps to cleanse and purify you as a person, cleanse and purify your body. The way that it works is that you take your hand, you can take whichever hand you want, you take these 2 fingers and you put them in between your eyebrows. You're going to take these 2 fingers and this finger, and that's going to control each of your nostrils. So this nostril will be controlled by these 2 fingers. This nostril will be controlled by this thumb. So you're going to keep your hands here. What you do is you take one nostril and you close it off, and then you inhale for a count of 4, and then you exhale for a count of 4, switch, inhale, switch, exhale. And then inhale, same side, switch, exhale. So basically what you're going to do is you're going to exhale from one side, inhale from the same side, then occlude the other side, exhale, and then inhale, and then switch, exhale, and then inhale. And just keep doing that. These breathing exercises, if you've never done them before, you can start off with 2 to 3 minutes. So if you want to use the timer on your computer or the timer on your phone just so that you're not mentally focused on the time, you can do that. just to give you an idea of what 2 or 3 minutes feels like. And then you can increase that by a minute or 2 minutes, and then eventually, if you get really good at it, you can do it for 5, 10, 15, 30 minutes at a time, however long you decide that you want to do it. But that is alternate nostril breathing, and that is a purification cleansing breathing method that's used in yoga that actually helps to cleanse the mind, cleanse the body, cleanse the breath. And so you can actually release a lot of stress, cleanse and purify your body of stress by just changing your breathing in this way. So when I was doing the research on the alternate nostril breathing, some of the benefits that it mentioned was that you can calm your mind, you can become more happy and peaceful, and who doesn't want that in their lives? It brings you back into the present. So when I was talking earlier about breaking the cycle of stress, it actually helps do that because you're not thinking about what else is going on, what happened an hour ago, what happened a day ago, what's going to happen after lunch or when you get home. You're actually thinking about right now. You're living in the present. And again, that helps break that cycle. And so by breaking the cycle, you actually help your organs to heal and respond in a more positive way. It actually helps to improve circulation because you're oxygenating your blood more, which allows you to, excuse me, which allows you to have better more enriched blood so that when you are breathing, when you are inhaling deeply, your heart knows to respond and you are getting more efficient circulation. So, it's not just the oxygenation, but it's also just the nutrients and everything that's in the blood that is allowed to go through your entire body a little bit better. And of course, it releases stress. I did have a YouTube link here, but I'm not going to show the YouTube link because that might mess things up. But just know that if you want to have more of an example, or you forget what it is that alternate nostril breathing is what it looks like, you can just go to YouTube and type in alternate nostril breathing, and there will be several examples there that you can see. Desk stretches. So desk stretching, if you never remember anything else, just do some of those stretches that you learned in high school. Do some of those stretches that you see on television. It doesn't have to be a lot initially, but just get started. The thought is that because we sit at a desk, because we sit in one position so long, we're not helping to increase blood flow. We're also holding our bodies in unnatural positions, so that actually causes tension or stress in the muscles. When the muscles tense up, they close up, they tighten. That actually decreases blood flow to those muscles. Decreased blood flow decreases oxygen, and that will decrease the amount of energy that can be made, which can cause internal stressor, which can cause it to tense up anymore. And again, you have this vicious cycle. So by doing deep breaths and by doing stretches at work, at your desk, you can again come to the present, and you can break some of the chronic nature of what you're doing, break that up. And then you're also increasing blood flow to the tissues because you're actually stretching them out so that they're not so tight and tense, and you can increase blood flow that way. If you know that you have some high stress areas, then you may want to focus on those high stress areas. If you're sitting at a desk, then you definitely will have some stress in your upper shoulders, in your upper back. You may even have some stress in your lower back. So you want to make sure that you're doing things like stretching your neck muscles to the side, stretching down. You may even look up at the ceiling. You may bring your shoulders up, bring them down. If you work on a computer, you can stretch your wrists, because don't forget your wrists are being worked out as well. They're being stressed as well. So just take a few moments and stretch out your wrist. You can sit your chair or push your chair back from your desk and actually bend your torso over so that your hands touch your feet, and that will allow you to stretch your lower back. That will also allow your organs to be compressed, so that actually is another way that you can increase circulation and increase lymph flow. Lymph is it's sort of like your circulatory system, except there's no red blood cells. And so by having better lymph flow, you move the fluids in your body a little bit better. You help to increase your immune system, and so you can get help that way, along with compressing your organs, which is like giving your organs a massage. So in the next few days, I'll have examples of desk stretches at my website. So if you want to get more examples of it, you can actually go to the resources page of my website. That's www.drturshah.com. Or again, you can just look online for desk stretches. You can go to Google, you can go to YouTube. You have many, many, many examples. So it's not like it's hard to find. So just make sure that you are utilizing the resources that you have, especially since you actually do have internet at work. So you can look those things up, and you can actually start to practice those at your desk. One of the biggest things that I like to tell people is to go on vacation. And I'm not talking about going on a fancy vacation where you have to save up for years and years and years before you can go, and then you go into some exotic place like the Maldives Islands or going to London. Those are great. That's just not everybody's reality very often. So what you want to do is actually go on vacation every day. The way you do that is you find pictures of places that you want to go, or you find pictures of places that speak to you. This is actually one of the pictures that I saw, and I just thought it was magnificent. And so this is actually a place that I do want to go, and I believe this actually is in Arizona. So sometime soon I'm going to have to make my way there so that I can take my own picture. But find a picture of something that makes you do a double take, or something that makes you gasp, or something that you connect with, and print that out. Put that somewhere that you will need it. So you can put one behind your computer at your desk. Put one at your on your refrigerator at home. Put one in the visor of your car, so that if you happen to be in traffic and you're stopped, of course, don't do this if you're driving, when you're stopped, like anywhere that you know that you're in a stressful situation and you will have a few seconds to take so that you can escape, you want to be able to just take it, look at this picture, and just imagine. Imagine what the air feels like. I imagine that this air is nice and cool, very unlike the weather that we're having now in Phoenix. And so I can imagine that it's cool, that it's a nice cool breeze. It might smell old because it's a mountain, it's a cave. Imagine what the sky looks like. Imagine, put yourself in that place and engage all your senses so that again you're in the now, you're in the present, and you've escaped your day. There's been a lot of research that's actually showed that when people go on vacation daily, several times a day, that their health improves, that they have less sick time, that they mentally are better, that they're physically better. So, and this is an easy way to do it. Another way you can go on vacation is to actually go to or print a picture out from somewhere that you've been. This is actually a beach in Cameroon, Africa that I went to, and the beach is pretty. This was actually a very beautiful black sand beach, and I had always wanted to go to a black sand beach, and I thought it was just awesome. And so by printing out a picture or displaying a picture of somewhere that you've been, then you can actually reminisce on a time that you imagine that you really enjoyed. So there's one where you're imagining what could be, and here you're going back to memories that are positive. It's the same effect. Okay, so again, print out a picture of somewhere that you've been, that you loved, that you absolutely enjoy, and you have extremely fond memories, and go to that place several times a day. Some other ways that you can actually use to relieve stress is, I'll go through these a little bit. So identify self-imposed stress. Now this one I personally have to work on all the time because I'm an overthinker. And so if any of you are overthinkers, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You think about things so much that you cause more stress in your body and in your mind than is actually in that situation. So if you can start to identify those things that you are actually increasing your own stress, then you can work to not doing that basically. So, be in the now. You understand that the situation is actually there, but you don't necessarily have to overthink it. Just let it be there and, problem solve, do what you have to do, but try not to overthink it where you're actually increasing the amount of stress that you have. Get organized. Now, this may be more difficult for some of us, especially in some situations, depending on how disorganized you are. But if you actually take the different areas of your life and you start to organize them, even if it's a crude organization, then that can help you as well. So if you're at your desk and your desk is just scattered with paperwork, then you can take and make small piles. So you don't necessarily have to handle everything right that moment, but you could put it in small piles. So you might put a pile of immediately handle as soon as you can, handle if I handle it. That's just 3 examples. You can do that with your car. Organize if you live out of your car like a lot of people do, then you can start to organize things there. And in your house, you can do the same thing. And if you have an organization system, even if it's very crude, then you can actually start to see things a little better, and you can say, okay, this is the pile of things that I need to handle right now, because if this does not get handled immediately, then it's going to increase my stress. Then you can take care of that because that's most important, and then move on to the other things. Prioritize your priorities. So of course, we might have a list of 50 things that have to get done. But as my father always tells me, there's that one thing that is just a little bit more important than everything else. And so if you take those out of those 50 and you do that one thing that's just a hair more important than everything else, get that out of the way, then it's done. Now you only have 49 things. You have 49 things, but it's only 49 things. And then of that 49, you look at that list and you see what things need to be done just a little bit more than the others, and you take care of that. And by doing that, you're prioritizing your priorities, and you're getting those most urgent things done first, and you're knocking things out. And that can help relieve stress because you're getting things off your plate. Act rather than react. Unfortunately, we are in a society where we are very reactionary. And so if we can figure out how to do things without having to react to things, then we can decrease the amount of stress because we already mentally know what we're going to do and how we're going to do it, and it's not a knee-jerk reaction. So act rather than react. Eliminate interruptions. If you happen to have an office, you may, say post office hours if that's available, or you can, turn your phone off at certain hours. You can start to train people to leave a message, tell them you'll give them a call back at a certain time. Whatever you need to do, whatever you can do within your capabilities to actually have time set aside where you can just handle certain things without interruption, then you can get more things done because you're not being interrupted all the time. You can schedule your day for energy and focus. Again, that's all a part of that eliminating interruptions. So if you can take your day and section it off, if that's one of the things that you do, if you can take your day and schedule it and say, I'm going to answer phone calls from this hour to this hour, I'm going to answer emails from this hour to this hour, I'm going to do XYZ from this hour to this hour. You schedule your day so that you're focused on certain things. If you're constantly checking your emails and you're constantly answering the phone, that causes more interruptions, and that can delay the amount of work that you get done. So see if you can actually schedule your day for more energy and more focus. There's a website that I like to use called focusatwill.com. At focusatwill.com, it's a website where you have several different types of sounds and music that you can turn on for 60 seconds at a time, 60 minutes, not 60 seconds, 60 minutes at a time, the free version, 60 minutes at a time. You pick the type of sounds or music that you want to use, and you turn it on. Now that does 2 things. One, the sounds that you use in this particular program are actually, they are used because they're not distracting. A lot of times when we use music during our day or doing what we do, there are words involved, and so we're not giving 100% focus on what we're doing, because music is designed for you to actually connect with the music itself. So if you can use some of these sounds or this music, then you're able to hear it. It's that distractor in the back of your mind, or you're able to focus on it, but all of your focus is not on the music itself. You can actually focus on the task at hand with that background noise if that's what you want. I often use the sounds of the ocean. There's sounds of birds, there are drum sounds, and there's actually classical music, but there's a variety. So you can go to that website and do that, and it's a 60-minute timer. So that will actually give you 60 minutes of focus, where when the timer goes off, you actually make yourself get up, you go to the bathroom, you do some stretching, you do some breathing, you answer phone calls, and that way you are eliminating interruptions, and you're scheduling your day. So you're focusing on particular things. So use focusatwill.com. Again, it's free. If you want to get fancy, you can go ahead and pay for it, but there's a free option. You also need to eat well. Now, I know that everybody, anytime you turn on television, there's somebody telling you to eat better for weight loss, eat better for blah, blah, blah. But when you're talking about stress, if you're eating things that the body does not recognize, or you're eating things that your body does not necessarily care for, then you're actually causing an internal stressor in your body. You may not necessarily think about it that way, but if you are eating things and it causes indigestion, it causes gas and bloating, it causes mucus buildup, those are all things that the body just does not like. And so your body is actually increasing the amount of stress that your whole person is going through. So not only do you have this mental emotional stress now or spiritual stress, you also have this internal stressor by something that you thought was giving you nourishment. And if you're eating things like, well, I won't really name any things, but if you're eating things that your body does not like, I know that it'll be something that most of you do like, then you think you're eating it as a comfort food, and it's actually not comforting you. It's actually causing more stress. So do try to incorporate better eating habits throughout your day so that you can decrease the amount of internal stress that you have. Of course, we know that sleeping well helps to, when the better you sleep, the better you can handle your day, just period. Sleep is the time that your body actually heals and your body grows. Just like the child that goes to bed at night and wakes up and they're 3 feet taller, that's actually growth. Well, healing is the exact same process. So every time you go to sleep, you are taking all the energy that you did have, you're diverting it now to actually healing your body, to growing your body, to actually creating a stronger, healthier you. If you're not sleeping, then you don't have that time to reset, and that causes even more stress. So if you do have problems with insomnia, if you do have problems with being able to fall asleep or get adequate sleep, or you're waking up throughout the night, then you probably want to get that checked. If you can't handle it at home, then seek out help so that you can actually sleep better, so that you can heal better, so that you can be healthier, because you're breaking the cycle of stress, for one, and because you're actually allowing your body to heal and reset so that you have more energy for the next day. Are there particular fruits and vegetables that are better for you than others? Honestly, not really. Well, let me say this. If you're talking about vegetables, then of course I would recommend leafy greens more. And I would recommend that, one, because they're very good for you, but also because so many people don't eat them, that's one of the things that I like to recommend, because people just don't eat them. If you get in a habit of experimenting with fruit and vegetables that you don't normally eat on a regular basis, that can be helpful, because now you're introducing different nutrients and different combination of nutrients in your body, and that's actually helping to heal your body as well. So if you always eat bananas and apples, well, maybe try pears, or maybe try Asian pears, or maybe try, I actually tried something new a couple weeks ago. It was called a cherimoya. Have you guys ever had cherimoya? I saw it at Sprouts, and I thought it was the strangest, ugliest little fruit. And I asked the people that were there, I was like, what is this? And he's like, oh, that's a cherimoya. I'm like, oh, okay. So, so what he actually did was he said, do you want to try it? Yeah. So he cut one open and we tried it. It was an interesting tasting fruit. I may or may not have it again, but the point is that I tried something new. Start eating grapes or start eating cherries, things that you don't eat on a regular basis. When you're eating vegetables, you hear people say eat the colors of the rainbow. So eggplant, blueberries, of course that's a fruit. Eggplant, blueberries, instead of using white or yellow onions, start using purple onions. Instead of using white cabbage, use purple cabbage. So just, even if it's within your comfort zone, try to experiment with colors. And yeah, just increase it. And when you're cooking your vegetables, don't cook it so that the color changes. If your color of your fruit or vegetables change when you're cooking it too much. Like if you're cooking broccoli, you should saute it or steam it so that the colors become brighter. If it starts to become a dingy green brown color, then that's cooking it too much. So eat it less cooked and more colors, and that's a very good start. All right. Other ways that you can manage stress. So if you have a religious belief, then I would recommend that you pray. Pray more often, because that connection to your higher power is one that can actually give you strength, that can actually, again, take you in the now, that can actually help you to decrease the amount of stress that you feel, because now you've actually taken that situation and you've handed it over to your higher power so that you're not feeling the full burden of it, and you're getting assistance from your higher power. So make sure that you are praying throughout the day if that is a part of your spiritual belief. If you do not have a spiritual belief, if you are not Christian, Muslim, Buddhist, or whatever or whatever practice, then just meditate. And meditation is basically just coming in the now, trying to clear your mind so that you're not thinking about anything. That's difficult for a lot of us who haven't done it. So when you're doing your meditation, you may focus on your breathing. So do some of those breathing exercises that I talked about earlier, and just focus on the breath. I'm breathing in, 2, 3, 4. I'm breathing out, 2, 3, 4. And just focus on that so that, again, your mind is there. So prayer and meditation can definitely help. Taking walks can be good, because then you're taking your mind off of what it is, and you're actually getting that physical exercise. So say you do focus at will for 60 minutes, then you can get up from your desk, you can walk around the office, you can walk up and down the stairs, you can walk in the parking lot and then come back. Again, taking the break and actually getting your blood circulating, getting your lymph moving, actually moving your organs, can help you out immensely in managing stress and being able to handle it a lot better. One of the ones I like is singing. I often tell people that when they're in traffic, have a concert. So, turn on your favorite music. Doesn't matter if you know the words. If you don't know the words, even better. Make up words. And turn on your favorite music, turn it up really loud, and give yourself a concert. Sing as loud as you can, and just have a whole full dance routine while you're driving. Be safe. And just have a whole dance routine while you're doing it. And if you think about it, that's fun, right? That's fun. So just give yourself a concert, or just sing at your desk. Singing actually helps you mentally. It helps to clear mucus from your throat. It actually helps you to breathe better. It has all of these psychological benefits. So even if it's at your desk, now if you have people around you and they don't love your melodious voice, then you may not be able to sing quite as loud. But, do take advantage of singing. My favorite, absolute favorite topic is pooping. Now, reason why that is my absolute favorite topic is because I tell people all the time, if I can help you poop on a regular basis, I can help your body heal of anything. If you notice that most people, again, you don't have to necessarily think about people, just think about times in your own life, but most people don't poop on a regular basis. The best way to eliminate waste from your body is every time you eat something a short time later should be coming out. That doesn't necessarily mean if you eat something, you should sit in the bathroom for an hour. If you're sitting in the bathroom for an hour, if you can actually finish a magazine, you're not doing it right. You're there too long and you need to work on some things. But what happens is you're actually creating waste in your body, and your body is holding on to trash. And just like if your house is full of trash, and how that stresses you out because you're just looking at a bunch of trash and you're navigating yourself around the trash, internally, it's actually causing more stress in your body because you're full of trash. You're full of trash. And so by optimizing elimination in your body, you're actually decreasing the amount of stress in your body, and that can actually help hypertension. That can actually help clear your skin. That can actually help decrease GI upset. That can actually help clear a lot. It actually helps to decrease your risk of cancer. So that can actually help you literally and figuratively by just making sure that you're going to the bathroom on a regular basis. If you have anything that you cannot handle on your own, again, whether it's mental, physical, spiritual, emotional, seek help with someone who knows how to handle these things. That doesn't necessarily mean, just going to a psychotherapist, which can be hugely beneficial if you've had any kind of trauma, or if you have anything in your life that you're not able to handle on your own. That can be helpful. But that might mean also seeking a naturopath to help you learn how to poop, or to help you learn how to eat better. That could be going to your minister if there's some spiritual things that you need to work out. That could be talking to whomever it is, talking to the grocery store person to help you learn how to eat better, whatever that means for you. Go ahead and seek someone outside of yourself to help you better handle whatever is going on in your life. Of course, breathing is always helpful. The last thing is being able to say no more often. Oftentimes, we take on much more than we can handle, and we feel obligated to help other people. But the reality is, if we're not healthy, then we can't be of service to anybody else because we're not being the optimum person that we are. So if you can learn to say no more often, then you can actually decrease some of the burden that you are having on yourself, and you can optimize how you're living. You're decreasing mental stress, and then you can actually be more happy because you don't have the weight of the world on your own shoulders. And if there's any other ideas, just remember, think about what brings you joy and start to do those things more often so that you can actually decrease the amount of stress that you have on a regular basis and you can live in your joy. And so I am almost done. So just keep in mind that stress is mostly about perception. So if you think about it, if you say stressed, if you flip it, that's desserts. So instead of having stress, have dessert, right? And so if that's one way that you want to cope, then keep that in mind. Now, of course, I'm not telling you have chocolate cake all the time because then that's going to cause you to gain weight, and then you're going to have to buy new clothes, and you're going to find the money, and then you're going to have to, that's a whole lot of stuff. But it's all about changing the way you perceive stress so that you can handle it better, so that you can actually live a longer, happier life. Now, that is the end of my presentation. If you guys have any questions, I am available to actually answer your questions right now. Normally I'd have my music going. What's that? Yes. So please do. I see a couple people typing, so yes, I'm looking forward to it. So thank you, Brianna. Thank you very much. Any questions? I want to make sure that I answer any questions before we leave. Do frozen fruit and vegetables have the same benefits, or do you lose many of the nutrients? Actually, that is an excellent question. Thank you. Frozen fruit and vegetables are the next best thing to fresh. Actually, sometimes frozen foods can be better than fresh because with frozen food, they actually have to pick it when it's ripe, and they flash freeze it, and that's it. Oftentimes, when you go to the store and you buy fruit and vegetables, it came from Guatemala and Guam and somewhere on the other side of the earth. So they had to actually pick it when it wasn't ripe. And during the process of transition, that's when it ripens. And food that ripens in the ground or on the tree or on the branch, those foods actually taste better and they have a higher nutrient value. So in some regards, eating frozen is better. Now, if you're eating local foods and fruit and vegetables, if you're actually going to your farmer's market and getting local foods, then that will usually be better than frozen because those farmers will typically pick the food ripe immediately and then sell it to you. So in that regard, that would be better. But if you have to get something frozen, frozen is definitely better than some of the store-bought produce. And it's actually tons better than buying anything canned. You work at a recovery center and will be able to help your members naturally. Awesome. Well, thank you. I'm glad that that actually helps because in recovery, I actually worked at a rehab for a while, and that was a part of their therapy. Not only did they do their 12 steps, but they had naturopathic therapies and they had access to gyms and to yoga and to things that they normally didn't. So I'm glad that that would definitely help you. Is naturopathic medicine or physicians more expensive than traditional care? Is it usually covered by health insurance? First of all, you're welcome. It really depends on the insurance that you have. Most naturopaths are not taking insurance directly. At the Naturopathic Medical School where I have my clinic, I am actually under Cigna. But for those people who don't have Cigna, depending on the insurance plan that you have, you may be able to be reimbursed by naturopathic care. So if you don't have something like Cigna, then you want to call your insurance company to find out how much of it can be covered by naturopathic care. Generally through insurances, most of the labs that we order are covered through insurance. If we order the typical labs. Now, if we have atypical labs that we order, which we do have several, then those may not be covered by insurance. So the best thing would be to contact your insurance company. And are they more expensive than traditional care? Out of pocket, yes, because you're paying out of pocket as opposed to allowing your insurance company to pay for you. It's actually about the same cost because what the insurance company is paying the physician is about the same as what we charge generally. The thing is that you may see that out of pocket expense more if you are going to a naturopath more than you would see it with your traditional physician. The difference though is that with your conventional physician, you're spending roughly about 7 to 15 minutes in the office with them. With a naturopath, you're actually spending anywhere from half hour to an hour and a half with them. So you may see more of an out-of-pocket expense, but the time that you spend with the physician, with them getting to know who you are, what's going on with you, and you being able to ask questions is a lot more. So depending on how you look at it, there is a greater out-of-pocket expense, but in the back end, it's about the same. Awesome questions. Any more questions? I see somebody typing. I like questions. I'm a teacher, so I love answering questions. Thank you, I'm glad it was helpful. I'm very glad it was helpful. All right. Any more questions before we close out? I don't see anyone else typing. So are we done? All right. So I do appreciate you logging in. I am very glad that this was able to help you all. If you do have any questions for me, my email address is there. You can also go to my website for other information about naturopathic medicine, for other things that I'm doing in the city, when I have classes or seminars. I usually post it on my website, so if you want to come to any of that, you can see me there. Otherwise, I look forward to seeing you guys in the future. Take care. Bye.
Thank you everyone for joining us today. We will be posting this recording on connect60plus.com. Again, just a reminder, please visit the website often to view previous recordings as well as upcoming webinars. And thank you everyone so very much, and I hope you have an absolutely wonderful weekend. Thank you.